Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Online Business Launchpad podcast. I'm delighted to have Jo Evans with me today, and Jo's a public speaking and presentation skills coach, and she also helps people create and refine their TEDx speeches. Jo's had some amazingly varied life experiences, which she's been able to build on to help people. Now, I actually met Jo via LinkedIn. Now, I know some people still think of LinkedIn, and maybe you're one of them, you think of LinkedIn as sort of an online CV or resume, but if that's how you're using it, I'd like to challenge you to think again. I use LinkedIn a lot to connect with people who are doing what I think are amazing things, or they have powerful messages or stories to share, or if I think that what they're doing is intriguing or fascinating. And for me, it's a really great way to discover people that could be potential allies or partners, or just somebody that I can share experiences with. We can support each other. And I know for others that use LinkedIn, it's a great place to discover people that they can help. So when Jo reached out and asked to connect, I was really happy to do that. And after speaking with her, I knew I wanted to get her onto the podcast, because even in the short time that I spoke with Jo, I knew she had skills and knowledge that are really going to help our listeners, especially around being able to effectively get message across in live online calls. Now, we've all kind of been through this whole COVID situation where we used to do things face to face, and now everybody's having to do stuff online. So it's always good to be able to learn how to up our game in these areas. But before we sort of dive into that, I just want to say welcome, Jo, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trudy.
Maybe just talk to me a little bit about who you serve and who you work with and why you do what you do.
Yes, of course. Well, I guess my whole life has been around training and helping people to grow in some sort of way, whether it was in my many years as a teacher, but now in my role working as a public speaking and presentation skills coach. What I love is working with people, and I guess I've increasingly working with people who are very scared of speaking and who are not able to get their message out. And that's where I came up with the idea of calling my company Jo Evans Share Your Message, because I think there are so many people who just hold themselves back from being able to express themselves, whether it's kind of on the stage, the big TEDx speaker type of presentation, or whether it's just at work, standing up in a meeting or standing up for themselves. So that would be the sort of big general picture of what I do, as in coaching people. And I don't know if we'll chat more about this, but I guess I've evolved my working so much into the not-for-profit and kind of in non-governmental organization world, which has been an interesting move in recent months.
Yeah, it would definitely, well, not only, I mean, they're just as affected as everybody else by what's happening with COVID-19 and stuff like that. But I'm just a little bit intrigued by what you said. One of the things that you just said, which was is that you even want to help people who are just wanting to be heard in meetings at work, or maybe even in situations outside of that. So it's not just about public presentation skills. It's about being able to get your voice out there in a way that people are going to listen to what you have to say.
One of the most moving moments I've had in this whole world of coaching people around speaking was a group of young people I was working with in a school. And at the end of the course that I ran over, I think it was about 6 weeks, we had a big kind of event and people talked about the thing that was most important to them. And this wonderful girl stood up and talked about her brother who was on the autistic spectrum and in fact was in the audience and yelled out, "Yay, go sister," in the middle of the talk. And she came up to me afterwards and said, "I can't thank you enough, Jo, because I have felt so put down my whole life, very anxious about bringing people home because of my brother. I've been really badly bullied at school. And doing this course has helped me to stand up for myself, be proud of my brother and talk about him with pride. And I feel like I'll never be bullied again in life now." And I thought, oh, wow. So helping people to find their voice, to be confident is really happens at all levels and is so important.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful story. Yes, just knowing that you're in a place where you won't be bullied. That is powerful, because I don't know. I know as a young person, maybe people may think that they're young, they're bullied, and etc., and that it's only just happening to them. But the fact is that people get bullied all the time at work, at home, at school, in situations where you wouldn't expect it to be happening, and it does happen. It's a real thing. So that's really, 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 really powerful. So tell us a little bit about how you got started on your business journey.
Well, I was in Toastmasters. In fact, still am in Toastmasters, an organization that people meet in small groups and work together to develop their communication and leadership skills. And I kind of joined out of curiosity. One of my friends was doing it. And I had already been doing lots of presentations. And as a teacher, of course, one is speaking very often. But the first time I went to a Toastmaster meeting, I had to stand and do a talk and kind of hold the floor and talk about myself with no props, nothing else. And I just thought, wow, this is an amazing world. And as I got more and more into Toastmasters, I became a mentor to so many of the people in my clubs. And I realized I love speaking for sure, but I love even more helping people to speak. I want to see them growing. And I just began to realize, and I did some work at the charity I was working for at that time, getting the people who had cystic fibrosis to talk about their experience. And I suddenly realized, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to help people to get out there, talk about their business, talk about the organization they do, talk about themselves. And people started to ask me if I would do that for them and pay me for it. And I went, yes, that would be great. So it was kind of very slowly evolved from a passion and an interest and a skill.
So that it's interesting to me. Like, there's still that thread from what you were saying earlier, which is about you're helping people find a voice, find their voice, not a voice, but their
Their
voice.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the background of my life, I was a teacher of the deaf for many, many years. And I kind of think there's a subtle thing going there as well, helping deaf people to express themselves and be heard and to find their voice, whether it is speaking or through sign language, whatever. It is such a thread that has gone through my life.
I think that's really fascinating to me. I think I mentioned to you once before that when I was at university, I was always fascinated with sign language, and as always when I was a child, thought, well, it was a great way to be able to communicate with my friends without the teacher knowing what we were saying. So when I was at university, I finally took a course in sign language and very rapidly realized that it's far more than memorizing how to do the alphabet and a few words. It involves your whole body and your whole just how you move and your facial expressions in order to get meaning across. It's body language, like 1,000 times, and ways of getting that across. And one of the things I didn't mention when I was talking to you is that my grandson is a little bit hearing impaired.
Yeah.
And he's just getting to he's young, he's really young still, but he's just getting to the stage where he's learning how to sign a little bit and to get his needs and wants across. And it's just so exciting seeing him do that and doing that effectively. And so for you, when you're coming back and realizing that what you can do is helping people who might be marginalized or might really struggle to get their messages across, being able to help them do that, it must be incredibly satisfying and fulfilling. So how did you then take that awareness that you really enjoy helping people find their voice and improve their ability to communicate effectively, whether it's on stage or in whatever situation? What was the space between doing that and then turning it into a business where you said people were starting to say, we'll pay you for it? Where did you take it from there?
Yeah, good question. I realized I wanted to do it, and to start off with, it was just a very few people offering to pay me, and because I wasn't in that whole mode of running a business. And I think the turning point for me was I realized I wasn't confident enough to put myself out to ask for money. And I sat down and thought, how could I become more confident? Because kind of deep down, I knew that I was good at facilitating and running groups. I had skills. And I thought to myself, well, the imposter syndrome's there. So how can I get over it? I know I will offer to run some free courses. And in that, I will feel more comfortable in trying out my ideas. And of course, I was wanting to do a brilliant job, but I hadn't asked them to pay. So there wasn't that pressure on me to be amazing. So I approached 3 of my friends. A lot of my friends work in the kind of not-for-profit NGO world, which is my passion. And I approached them and said, hey, this is me. I'm at Toastmasters, I win speaking competitions, etc. I would love to run some training for 3 sessions for 6 of your staff. And interestingly, some people weren't so interested. I thought everybody would go, yay, totally fantastic. But I did get going, and I worked with 3 amazing organizations. And I ran my 3-week course, sort of a couple of hours a week with them. And in that, honed my skills, got their feedback, developed my confidence, had the ability and recommendations on LinkedIn. So there you go, Trudy, linking back to LinkedIn. And just then could say, yes, I've run courses. I didn't have to say initially that they were courses that I'd run for free. I don't think that matters. No. What I'd done was I had got the evidence to myself that I was good at this, that I could do this. And I had the encouragement from the people I trained. And then I also started to get recommendations from people passing my name around, which was just such a good starting point. So I think don't necessarily straight away try and earn money. Of course, you're wanting to earn money, but if you have to run some free sessions or hone your skills in a free environment, then go for it. It's so worth it. It's so much better than sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring or the emails to come in. Get out there, get started. And in doing that, you will develop the skills. And then you'll be able to say, yeah, this is me. This is what I do. That's what I did.
I think that's a really good. It's a really good way of getting going. I like it. I like what you said. It's better than sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring. Yes. Because the more you sit at home and wait for the phone to ring, the less people know that you exist.
Absolutely.
And that's really important. I mean, obviously, it's a fine line because you do want to make sure that you're doing something that people are willing to pay for. But I think one of the things we forget is that the other factor is time. And so if people are willing to put their time into something that you want to help them with, that's a pretty good proxy for money at the very beginning. Because time is you can't place a value on time. You can't get it back if you wasted it or lost it. So there's an interesting way of being able to assess whether what you're doing is useful to people, and of course it's useful enough that they will pay for it. And fantastic way of getting, testimonials and recommendations and things like that, because that's what people look for when they are willing to pay for something. They're looking for that. So I think that's really, really cool. Just out of curiosity, do you, if you're willing to share, what kind of process do you use to reach out to people on LinkedIn?
That's a good question. Probably mainly quite passively at present, in terms of I made sure that my LinkedIn profile was what I felt was good and informative about people. I have lots of recommendations on it, which people have so sweetly given, many not asked for. And I will contact people that I think are working in the areas that I want to communicate in. But I haven't posted loads. I haven't put up loads. I mean, some of the courses I've run, I've commented on and they've been up there and people have linked. Perhaps I could be using it more. Initially, I used it as a bit of a CV. I think anybody can put up a website and just talk about themselves, and have a fab, glossy website. I actually think LinkedIn is very good because I notice a lot of people go to it. A lot of people check it out. And then a lot of people will come back and go, wow, we wanted to use you because we saw the recommendations that you had. People obviously love working with you. Yeah. You don't get on a website. It's a different kind of dynamic.